Welcome everybody to our first ever online society tasting. What a tasting it is. We've got 4 fantastic drams. We're in a brand new venue and with a brand spanking new person with us as well. So lots of things to cover tonight. This was a tasting which was originally planned by us to be January?
January, yeah.
We've actually decanted all these samples just before Christmas, wasn't it?
Yeah. Did you help that?
Might have helped in some way, in some sort of capacity, but not the filling of many samples. We thought Brexit would be a minor blip at this sort of stage, and we'd be good to go for a sort of February sort of time, but February came and went, March, April. So now we're into July. Some of the whiskies we're actually tasting have turned 29. But all the whiskies you have in your sample bottles at home are 28 years old. It's not aged, unfortunately, there. So we've got 4 fantastic drams, 4 whiskies which we think showcase good Springbank, good old Springbank, and also importantly the different wood types that we've got. We've got bourbon, rum cask, and two sherry casks as well. So it's going to be a promising tasting. My only regret is there wasn't more whiskey to share with more people, unfortunately. We will also aim to pick the next society bottom from one of these samples, and unfortunately it's not just a case of I like this the best, can we bottle that, for reasons which will become abundantly clear as we go through the tasting. So maybe before we start the tasting, we should introduce a new colleague.
Yeah, got to interrogate Fiona, yes.
I'm told in 20 questions.
So
Fiona, yes. So what made you join Springbank?
Well, I actually interviewed for Cadenhead, applied for a job at Cadenhead, and somehow just found myself here.
So you're saying you got rejected by Cadenheads and ended up in the Springbank?
And I got, the second best.
I'm sure Cameron will love to hear you say that.
I interviewed with Cameron and Ranald, and they decided that Springbank would be a better fit. So been here about a month or so now. So I'm quite new to the whisky world.
Talk about being thrown in at the deep end.
I'll try not to say anything ridiculous.
You're local, so you're born and bred here, aren't you? Yeah.
Yes, I am, So just moved back to Camden after being in Glasgow for the best part of the last 10 years, and happy to be home.
Very good. So now we'll hopefully get you out and about on the road when it's safe and well to do so.
Yeah.
The markets and that still to be discussed and stuff.
Yeah.
But
Yeah, so people might be wondering where the rest of the sales team are. So Nicole should have been on holiday in Ibiza, but has still managed to be on holiday, but in Dundee. Dundee's a great city. V&A Museum, lots of stuff going on there, but it's not quite Ibiza.
No, not quite.
But Nicole, I'm sure you're watching, so hello. And then Melanie's back with us in the office on Monday, so we'll have a full office on Monday. And hopefully we will all be out and about visiting you all, doing these tastings in person again. You never know by the end of this year, but hopefully next year.
Hopefully next year, get back to some normality out and about. And these online tastings have been successful, very, very popular, and we probably will continue with them in sort of some way, but certainly we want to get out and about, speaking to people face to face is a way forward, definitely.
It's a good time for me to start though, because there's a bit less pressure when you're not out on the road face to face with people. It's a bit more time to learn it all.
At the same time, though, I think it's the best thing to do when you're out and about and get that sort of engagement with people. It's quite hard to do a tasting to a camera, I think. So if you can do this, tasting in person, you will bother.
Indeed, yeah.
Cool.
So, yes. I think you should really tell us about the location, David. Where are we? Where is the tasting?
Yeah, there's probably a lot of regulars who are watching, trying to work out where we are, but this is the brand new Washback bar in the heart of the distillery, really. For those of you that have been to visit us, we are directly opposite the entrance to the distillery shop and what was the old joiner's workshop. We've converted it into a great use, this fantastic washback bar, made with bits of old washback. All run in-house by Stephen, so we will hopefully be able to open this up when COVID restrictions allow to be able to do tastings, so you can come and do a tour in these tastings. In the comfort of a.
We did hope for the open day last year, but these obviously didn't happen. But
Fingers crossed we have an open day for next year.
hopefully, indeed, yes. But no, a great location, and hopefully we'll welcome many visitors when it's opened up.
So please, if you're watching, comment where you're watching from, say hello, show us monitoring the comments there.
We want to get you involved regarding the tasting of the whiskies as well. So if you want to, everybody's got their own opinion doing tasting notes. So if you want to feel free to comment with what you feel on the nose and the palate. Just get some positive feedback, and Fiona will monitor that and even sort of discuss. Because that's what we want to do tonight, is really discuss in depth these 4 whiskies, or 3 whiskies and 1 spirit drink.
Well remembered.
Yeah, it's interesting to hear different people's opinions when doing tastings. I've only obviously done a couple so far, just informally in the bar. But for me, being a newcomer to whiskey, it really helped me kind of actually pick out flavours and smells myself to hear other people's opinions.
That's it, exactly. Well, on that note,
should we dive into the first whiskey? Definitely, yeah. So the first whiskey we're going to try is obviously 28 years old, and it is fully matured in a bourbon hogshead at 47.2% alcohol. So hopefully you've got all your tasting pack in front of you. Just remember the little stopper is quite hard to remove, so sometimes it's probably better to get a little spoon, or I'm not saying a sharp knife, to remove these. Do the disclaimer, do not use your teeth.
Knives and whiskey, they don't.
It's all what the dentist bill.
Don't choke on it. That's a great nose, sort of straight away, sort of very sort of soft and fruity. We tried these the other day and didn't add water to them in it. This kind of strength, I don't think I want to add any water just in case I dilute it too much. I think that strength is sitting pretty good. Yeah,
certainly when we're doing this, is to give you an idea of what when we're not travelling, we're sitting trying different samples and thinking about next society bottles. And we always want to see how the whiskey develops in the glass, how it sort of opens up. I always want to try it with all water initially, but we also want to experiment with adding a little splash of water as well as it goes on. But initially, yes, we're trying it neat. You can see all the flavours coming through in the nose, the palate and stuff. So, but as David says, initially you'll get a lot of the bourbon cask influence. Very fruity, soft, sort of delicate nose to it.
Very delicate, which is kind of what you'd expect from an older Springbank. Even though it is delicate, it still has that Springbank character.
Yeah, people do describe what is a typical Springbank characteristic. So certainly, yes, 28 years in a bourbon cask, but behind the scenes, there is that soft maritime influence there to it as well. That Canton sort of earthy, dungeony note to it as well.
It's almost kind of sort of flinty in the nose as well.
I mean, straight away in the palate, you're like, 47.2% alcohol. There's no harsh alcohol burn. Very, very smooth in the palate. That lovely creaminess, as the nose suggests, develops right through onto the palate.
Again, what's this sort of milk chocolate and honey, almost like the crunchy bars.
Crunchy bar, yeah.
Sort of honeycomb covered in chocolate. Very delicate.
Got that kind of cereal note to it as well. That sort of barley sugar, sort of barley water note to it as well.
We get any comments on the first whiskey there?
No comments on the first whiskey. Oh, well, we actually do have one here from Maxim Enevid Olsen. I'm maybe not saying that correctly, apologies. Says that that's the best one.
So it's maybe tried them all.
What whiskey number 1?
Chris with them, a real musty yet sweet nose, honeyed, flinty taste, and the peat really creeps up in the finish. Just what I found when we did our first tasting, I quite liked the kind of peated whiskies, and you can kind of, you can get that from that first one.
Yeah, for me, the peaty influence is almost like a sooty influence. If you've ever been into the Clogie, the sort of chamber next to the kiln, that kind of sort of thick, sort of sooty, tarry wall. It's that kind of note.
The peat smoke's always in the background, the aftertaste, and that's what people love about Springbank. Some of the heavy peaty whiskey is just in your face straight away, but Springbank is delicate, soft, and then that maritime influence just keep up onto you.
There's loads of tropical fruits in the finish as well. It's lovely.
Gareth Edwards saying custard, apples, and fruity wood.
Custard apples. Apples, yeah, definitely. Especially the custard and that fruity from the apples.
Yeah, so this is, obviously now, it was 28-year-old. You are trying a 28-year-old whiskey, but it did turn 29-year-old about a month ago. So if this is one that's picked, certainly it would be 29 years old.
Yeah, and are you going to break the news to everyone why we probably can't pick this? You've got to look at it in volumes. You've got supply and demand. Can we put that in the market and happily supply everyone? No, we can't. I think what you're trying to say is we've got a 29-year-old cask of Springbank, which would only give us 174 bottles.
Is that 20 CLs?
That's 70 CLs.
That's
so it's probably worth saying at this stage that we will do this current society bottling and a different bottle size than normal, break it down to 20 CL bottles. And that's sort of twofold. The reasons for that. One is obviously to make the whiskey stretch a bit further so more of you are able to enjoy it. And also it brings it down to a more accessible price point. So again, if you have the chance to be able to get a bottle that's affordable and you're not going to be too scared to open it, you're actually going to try it. So I think it's the first time we've done a society bottle, and certainly or anything from the core range like this.
For those who remember, we've done the little gift pack sets, sort of 3 20 CL bottles. That's the size and shape of bottle we will be using for this.
In true Blue Peter fashion,
here's one I produced earlier.
So having a box like this, hopefully. Yeah, there's your bottle. So that'll be a nice little bottle for fantastic whiskey.
And with the bottling that comes from this, whichever one's chosen, would society members have to have priority, or how will it work?
Yeah, so it'll be exclusive to society members, but we're not saying if you have a pack, you're guaranteed to get one. It'll be a sort of clean start again ballot. So any society member will have the opportunity to try and get this. So you're not excluded if you have not taken part in the tasting tonight, which I think is probably the fairest way to do it. Yeah. Unless everybody at home that's watching the tasting pack, I'm sure they're saying them differently. But we try to be as fair as we can at all times.
Has anybody tried it with water yet?
Yeah, I've got a bit of water. I'm a beginner. We've got Adam Hathcock here saying that it's sweeter than most, enjoying the honey fruits, which, yeah, we can agree with that.
It's sort of common theme, isn't it? Yeah.
It does become a lot more softer with water, but it's lovely sort of delicate flavours there too as well.
Well, yeah, for me, a bit of water sort of becomes slightly too delicate for my big clumsy palate. I quite like the robustness. And I think that's the key thing about these whiskies is that they're quite old, and you can sometimes expect them to become sort of too delicate at this age, and maybe the wood sort of too woody with the wood influence. But I think these have retained the character of the cask type and the spirit as well, even from that fruitiness, that sweetness we talked about, the peat, the honeys. There's still lots of complexity in there for a delicate whiskey.
And it's got a long finish to it as well. It just keeps on developing. You know, some whiskies can be quite short in the finish, but it just keeps on developing. Which is
It's quite long for me, slightly dry as well, long dry, and loads of tropical fruits.
Keeps you yearning for more.
I keep sort of finding myself sort of smacking the lips, and I finished it.
It was that good.
It didn't last long. So if your people are at home sort of wondering when they can come and visit us, we have sort of tentatively opened up tours again.
We have, yes.
They are sort of done on a restricted basis, so a maximum of 4 people on a tour, and with some areas sort of out of bounds, like the bottom hall. But we are open for tours, so you can come and visit us and visit the distillery shop.
Was that the third week? Was that 3 weeks ago we opened?
It was the week I joined, I think.
So that's 4 weeks.
About 4 weeks, maybe 5
There you go.
weeks. Something like that.
And I bet you've done more shifts in the shop than me and Grant combined.
Sounds about right. Maybe more tours.
Quite possibly.
Quite possibly, I'll give you that.
Probably a higher standard of tour as well, no doubt.
It's been pretty busy with tours, actually.
It's been good, and slowly we're getting there, and hopefully we'll kind of progress in due course. Hopefully get more on the tours and do more frequent tours, weekends, etc. But we're slowly seeing how the tours can manage with all the restrictions in place. But just remember, you've got to book the tour in advance. So unfortunately, at the moment, you can't just roll up on the day and book a tour. But just give us a wee bit of notice, and we'll try and fit you in.
We've got a few people commenting they're looking forward to getting back to Campbelltown, going on tours. Yeah,
Any other news within the distillery? Warehouse. Yeah, so the warehouse, new warehouse is now fully racked as well. So
Rags and casks go into it, yeah. We're good there.
Production, it's normal. So anticipating normal sort of 250,000 litres at Springbank. So which is good.
It's good to be able to share that with visitors and have the hustle and the bustle of tours going about again.
Yeah, it's even felt nice, even though there's only 4 allowed in a tour, it's felt nice seeing just people around and kind of getting back to some sort of normality, and even just people around the office. I was working from home before this, so it's nice to see a little bit of normality.
If not quite started the legendary Springbank tea breaks. You're going for half an hour to 45 minutes, the morning and afternoon.
I had my first one today, and that was most of my morning. Gone.
So ready for number 2? Are we?
Yeah, I think we are. So number 2, we've got to remember we can't call a whiskey. It's a spirit drink because the ABV has dropped below the 40% threshold to call it a Scotch whiskey. This is another one of these drams actually that in the cask it's now 29 years old as well, so it's had a birthday since it's been packaged up. And then in a rum barrel, so the full maturation in a rum barrel, and the characteristics of the spirit drink are very much rum orientated. Got this sort of tropical fruits again.
Tropical fruits straight away. Straight away on the nose, you can it's a rum cask matured whiskey.
So it's sort of a slight waxiness to it as well for me.
Someone said the other day when we were dinner tasting, I think it was maybe Finlay, that you got a bit of banana in the nose.
Yeah. Certainly, it's when you're doing rum matured whiskies, you get all that tropical fruits, bananas, apricots. It is reminiscent for being a rum matured whiskey. And unfortunately, it's dropped below 40%, but the quality is there, isn't it?
Yeah, it's really nice. Again, for me, from a beginner's perspective, I think I probably had my idea of what whiskey would be like, what it would smell and taste like, and this is quite different, and I like it. It's nice.
Yeah, I think the fact that it's it's soft, it's delicate, but still has the rum characteristics.
And even then, the rum influence is at the front, but then you'll get the Springbank characteristics coming through on the nose and then onto the palate as well, and you're like, initially rum, and then there's Springbank.
I get kind of more of a sort of fruit and sort of herbs as well in the palate and the finish. And especially in the finish, that kind of earthiness.
Definitely so, yeah.
We've got a question here from David Green. Can you tell us the previous content, which rum? Do we have any info on that?
Unfortunately, some of our records, it'll just say rum. Chances are it'll be an ex-Cadenhead rum cask. Obviously, a sister company, Cadenhead's independent bottler, so yeah, they're whiskey and rum merchants. So when we've finished bottling the rum, ideally we'll fill with Springbank spirit. So yes, chances are it'll be an ex-Cadenhead rum cask, but the records certainly will just say rum.
Yeah.
Sometimes, yeah, we'll put down if it's Barbados, Demerara, and Gannon, etc. But the records for this one just says rum.
Yeah. Our record keeping sort of historically was quite basic, I suppose, and it's probably in the last sort of 5 years, or 5 years, that people have become more interested in the provenance of everything, their food, their drink, their whiskey, and what that sort of additional information. So, for the next generation that are drinking the casks that we sort of Finlay has sourced, I'm sure we've got loads and loads of detail of exactly what plantation the sugar cane came from and all the rest of it. Send it off for the bags there.
Well, Finlay did mention regarding the sherry cask that came in with the barcode that came in. You can scan the barcode and it gives you the information. So, yeah, technology's there for that as well, which is good.
Got a few thoughts on this one. Rhubarb, ginger, popcorn. Yeah.
Yeah, definitely that sort of ginger note that's almost a slight sort of spiciness. Like a sort of rhubarb crumble.
So how many bottles would we get from this one, David?
That's a very good point. So we're kind of ruling this one out as a society bottle, so instantly due to its outturn of 36 normal size bottles, which would translate into 126 of these 20 cl bottles. So kind of we're at a sort of bit of the crux of the problem is what do we do with this? And we had a quick chat earlier, maybe we should have it as a washback bar special. It's you can only get if you're in Campbelltown visiting us.
I thought staff bottling.
Staff bottling, yeah. Quite possibly.
Not opposed to that.
The quality's there with it. And certainly I would be quite happy with it. But yeah, the volume is just not suffice, unfortunately, on this one.
I'm too scared to look at my phone because I already know Cameron from Cadenhead is going to be sending messages. So we'll pick these up from Cadenhead.
And this is it. That's what obviously done to sort of Finlay and that to see what do we do with this cask now, because obviously it is under strain, but the volume, the quality is there with it.
Yeah, in theory, it could go into a bigger vat with higher strength.
To
Cask
back up,
do something, but maybe a society exclusive. If you're a society member, come and visit the bar. This is your exclusive society bottle. Although I have fears that it could be a mass brawl, pub brawl. Somebody who's not a society member wants that particular dram that guy's allowed to drink.
We're camping outside waiting for it.
And do we have any idea of when the bar will be open?
I think we will always work within COVID guidelines, and first and foremost, but really as soon as we feel comfortable doing tastings and inviting people in, because let's face it, it's a lot of fun having a whiskey bar, and we want to make sure that we've got the best selection of whiskies in the world in here, Springbanks anyway. So we've got lots of these old archive bottles that was maybe only 1 or 2 bottles and not really enough to do much with, so just putting them in the bar here would be a great idea. And we've got these great ideas of doing flights of long reds, local barleys. So yeah, the sooner the better, really.
Yeah, and it is a really nice setting. You can obviously see some of it, the main bar tonight. But yeah, I remember coming here in my interview. Actually, I think you showed me around and took me into this bar, and I was quite impressed. So yeah, hopefully we'll be.
I'd just like to say this will be the first and the last time I'm on this side of the bar. So I feel a bit discombobulated here.
We'll get Oliver Klaus asking, will the video be available afterwards? He's just joined because he was distracted by the football, which is probably quite a common problem we have tonight.
Football? What? There's football going on.
Are you no longer in the
Yeah. I lost interest after Scotland went out in my team in the sweepstake Hungary as well. So
that's the exact same.
Wasn't doing too well.
Yes, they will do.
Yeah, so it'll be available on YouTube, certainly, like all the rest of the online.
If technology permits, and Nathan in the corner there's recording it, and he's nodding his head. Yes, this will be available.
That's a cracker, that one.
Yeah, no, but it's so easy to drink though. That's it.
Another question about the bar, which is quite quite a lot of interest in that. What beers are you going to be having on the new bar?
Well, let us know what beers you'd like behind the bar and what you think would go well with a Springbank or Paceburn or Longrow. I think if you do have beer, we try and source locally. We usually do.
I think so. I think local is the way to go.
But yeah, give us your suggestions.
I really like that one. I know I maybe shouldn't be saying that when we've just said.
You know, I don't think it's even worth trying with water. It's, you know, obviously it's under strength as it is, but yeah, we'll keep going.
Wow. It's always when you have a whiskey like that, you almost wish that you hadn't tried it, I think, because it's very good and you know it can't be repeated and shared with many people.
Yeah.
We're making this torture for people who are watching at home without these packs.
And I do enjoy Springbank matured and rum. It's one I always sort of go to.
Yeah, I think this might be what I'll go for as well, or try a bit more of, because
It's great to see different people's opinion. You know, some people do like bourbon matured, some people do go for the heavy sherried whiskies, some lightly weird and wonderful wine casks, etc. But yeah, my thing is the rum.
Yeah. Has there been any feedback about bottling this in a 20 cl as opposed to the sort of standard 70 cl? Hopefully everybody's on board with that.
Yeah, there was a couple of comments earlier on actually, of people just saying basically they agree with it. The more people that can get it done, the better, rather than a few.
And I think so, and I'm pretty sure a lot of people will open bottles as well, and that's what we want to see. That's the whole real idea regarding the Springbank Society is opening and enjoying the good quality whiskies we produce.
There's another question about this one. Do you know why the ABV is so low?
Yeah, and this one was the only barrel in the selection, so it's quite an old whiskey, so you have the evaporation year and year, and also it's the smallest cask, so there's a lot of whiskey or spirited wood contact as well, which probably doesn't help, so it's a smaller cask, you're getting a sort of high rate of evaporation. But I did look out on our system to see where all these casks have been stored, and they've all been stored in Warehouse 15, which is in a rack.
The rack warehouse, yeah. So that's the one at the top of the lane for the people who have been here. Normally the one we go in during the tour as well.
Yeah, so perhaps in theory, if the casks are stored at the top of the rack warehouse and we have lots of hot summers and stuff, you might see a high rate of evaporation, as opposed to if it was in one of our dunnage warehouses, which are really dark and damp and earthy. But these are all from the same warehouse as well. So yeah, it's quite a frustration having these sort of great whiskies that are low out turns and low ABVs. But it's just the nature of the beast.
Now that you've mentioned that, we're getting a lot of positive comments about the smaller bottlings making it more accessible and more affordable.
Yeah, I think everybody will get the idea behind it and go with it and agree with it.
Hopefully.
Do they get an option?
Because we've already ordered the bottles and the corks and the packaging.
Do they get an option?
Glad to hear everyone's on board.
That's a nice one to try. Yeah.
I don't know about you guys, but I'm ready to go into whiskey number 3.
Number 3.
Which is, so now we're moving on to sort of the darker side, if you like, the also sherry casks. So this first whiskey, we're back to being a whiskey, because the ABV is 51.3, so back to sort of higher strength. It's a hogshead, so a slightly bigger cask. We just tried about 250 litres. And this one still is 28, turned 29
next week,
I think, actually.
Yeah, 9th
of July, yeah.
Birthday coming up.
Yeah, exactly.
It's got a birthday coming up, yeah. We'll sing happy birthday to him.
So, I mean, for a lot of people at home, they'll think this is an unbelievable tasting to try these old Springbanks in different cask types side by side. And that's the same for us. We don't have humongous amounts of older stock, so this is quite a privilege to be sort of hosting a tasting like this with these older whiskies.
On the nose, straight away, you will get more kind of darker fruits, that kind of forest fruits. You get that Christmas cake, nuts, raisins, sultanas.
Yeah, lots of sort of dried fruit and raisins. Much sort of darker.
Even,
comparisons than-
the damp, earthy Dunnage note to it there as well on the nose.
We're getting a few similar comments. Liquid chocolate, nutty, toffees, caramel.
Great notes.
But even, there's no, even at 51.3, there's no nose prickle, there's no, the strength of it is not coming through, I want to add water to
The
that.
What did you
mouthfeel,
call it there?
Nose prickle.
Nose prickle.
the mouth feels very sort of silky, elegant, oily. Yeah, it's probably got more sort of viscosity, more oiliness in comparison to the rum.
Much more to it, yeah.
Mhm.
I'm really getting toffee on that one.
Mhm.
Certainly, you can notice moving from the bourbon to the rum and then to the sherry. Certainly,
I'm getting there sort of toffee apples in the finish now. That kind of fruit note and toffee. Maybe because we've been talking about toffee.
It's funny when you say doing tastings and somebody mentions something. Oh yes, you start agreeing. It's because it's in your mind. You start thinking about it. Because normally when we do these tastings in the office and that, we always try and write down our own notes initially and then discuss them as a group. Because if somebody says bananas straight away, everybody will start thinking bananas, look for bananas.
That power of suggestion.
Musty marzipan, someone said.
Mm.
Sounds odd, but it's good.
Really sort of sweet. After it's like, those little fizzy cola balls you get in your TMP mixes. Which
You
is,
think 28 years in Oloroso, there's no harshness to it. There's no heavy sherry note in there to it. It's there, but it's still quite fairly delicate as well.
yeah, really sweet, I find.
Maybe not quite as smooth as the previous two.
No.
So for me, there's more body to it. But again, a fantastic.
There's much more on the nose and palate. You can just keep on developing and goes on. What sort of volume can we get from this one, David?
Okay, we're into slightly better territory. In terms of 20 bottles, we're 672. So you've got a better chance than the previous.
And it is one per person.
I think we'd have to make this one per person. Hopefully people enjoyed, or if I guess this is a bit of a funny question, you'll enjoy the ballot process if you were successful in the tasting pack in the recent release. And this is how we would aim to sell this bottle as well. It'll be a ballot process, and one per person. I think is the way to do it.
Yeah, the only way to do it. And hopefully, the last society release with this, the ballot, everybody certainly felt it was the fairest way to do it. I don't think there was really any sort of negative feedback from it. So,
well, some people said it should be the first 600 members who joined get first steps. Funny, I think the guy who made the comment might just have been one of those
599.
So I pulled the ladder up afterwards. But yeah, generally I think it's the fairest way to do it, and I think we'll probably do it more often. But we obviously want to aim to do an outturn where we can to satisfy demand, and so everybody wants a bottle can get it. So that's really the dream. That's why we've paused society membership right now as well, so we can look at what stocks we've got to plan our next society releases and try and ensure that everybody who really wants a bottle is able to get a bottle as well.
So also what we found as well with also the new online portal, when the 28-year-old bottling was discussed, we had a lot of people trying to sign up to the online portal to get this, and because that was one thing. At one point, people were asking, how many society members have we got? Because it's been going for so many years, we didn't really have an exact number of how many society members we had. So I thought, okay, let's do this online portal. We can see who's all signed up to it and get a figure from that. But then started advertising this 28-year-old set. People, I can't get signed up to the new portal. I can't sign up to the new portal.
I think, are you trying to say we don't know how many members we had because it's a lifetime membership and we don't know how many people have died?
Basically, yeah.
In a roundabout way.
In a roundabout way, yeah.
We should like check in once a year.
Check, well,
Check
probably
yourself
should,
alive,
yeah.
If not. And with the society membership, also it's paused just now, is there any plans for it to be reopened or?
Yeah, I think when we can make sure we have enough whiskey and things like that to sort of satisfy society membership, we don't want to just keep allowing lots of members in to frustrate more people and make more people disappointed that they're not able to access new releases. I mean, the society is not just about the society releases. Of course, you're getting glorious distillery updates and heads up when we do new releases and things like that ahead of the general public. But the bottoms we do are a big bonus. So there's an expectation, I think, if you join the society, you've got a chance to get access to these bottoms. So yeah, we've got to, I guess, try and meet demand and expectations.
Yeah, exactly.
So right now we've got a pause in it until we can sort of make sure we can meet that.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So you're talking about releases, anything sort of in the pipeline for coming out soon? Anything we can say to this? Well, we had the online festival recently, so a lot of the bottles were discussed back then. But
I suppose the big landmark release for being to next year will be the 30-year-old Springbank, which is going to be a sort of a familiar addition to the lineup from next year as well. So that's a good landmark for us. You know, we're able to do tasting with older stocks here. We're going to release a 30-year-old every year from next year. So that's the big thing for us. There'll be a long red, there'll be local
barley continuing on, yes. Because everybody used to think it was a 5-year series. But local barley.
Because we told them it was going to be a 5 years.
We knew 5 years worth of stock. Well, we knew more than that, but initially came out 5-year series. But no, we've been doing local barley for basically every year.
Oh, really? It's every year?
Yeah, go back now about, when did we start? About 19 years ago, something like that. No, it must be longer than that. It must be 20 years ago we started doing local barley.
Yeah, and I gather those go pretty quickly.
There's a big demand for local barley, yes. And that's a great talking point as well regarding barley strains. Does it make a huge difference between the strains of barley? Well, doing the local barley series, then we can say yes, there's a big difference. The yield's a lot lower certainly, but the quality is certainly very high with it.
Yeah. We've got a question here from Chris Witham. Are you ever going to repeat the Rundlets series?
You were just asking about this.
Yeah, I know. That's why
I think it was really successful. The whiskey was fantastic, but it was quite an expensive whiskey for us to make because we had to source sort of resized casks. But the angel share was
the losses were huge. Yeah.
So
we're losing about 7%. Obviously, people who know the Rundles and Killigan series, the alcohol strength for that 10-year-old whiskey dropped very, very low, but the evaporation was basically horrendous. Huge losses, up to about 7% each year. So, whiskey was fantastic, but the volume we were getting from these outturn was very, very low. So, was it worthwhile? Yes. Would it something we repeat? That's it.
Maybe.
Never say never.
Never say never.
Never say never.
So just in case people aren't aware of what the Rundlets and Kilburn series is, it's a series that we did of Hazeburn Springbank Long Row and small casks of slightly less than 70 litres.
Yeah, 68.
68 litres, there you go. So you had sort of fantastic sort of wood contact and great maturation sort of very quickly. You had these lovely sort of oily sort of thick whiskies, lots of character. But yeah, as Grant says, a lot of evaporation, not a lot of whiskey in the casks when it came to the bottom.
And we've also got a question from Sachin Mahindra asking how much will the 30-year-old be? Any idea?
Not off the top of my head.
That'll be a reasonably priced 30-year-old, I think.
One way to say it.
To be confirmed.
TBC.
Big enough to pass.
Has anybody asked what the price of the next society bottle is going to be?
No, but shall I ask?
I don't know, I feel like if we say it now, it's out there, and
It's
then we
out
have
there.
to stick by it.
Yeah, I'm not then.
I think we'll probably price this fairly. We discussed this at price £110 a bottle, which is, I think, pretty good value, especially if you scale it up to what it'd be as a 70 cl bottle. It'd be I wrote this down there, with about £385 or something like that. So, yeah, £385, which I think for a 28-year-old Springbank exclusive is pretty good value.
Maybe 29.
Yeah, maybe it'll be 29 again. Yeah. So we want to price it to make it accessible to people, so it's not just a case of, as I say, you're too scared to drink it and open it, you want you to enjoy it.
But yeah, I hope you all enjoyed that. The Oloroso. Big body flavour to it, and the nose, the palate just keeps on developing. I've not even added water to it yet, and I'm enjoying it at cast strength.
Oh yeah, so the difference between the last two, there is quite a big difference from 38% to 51%.
Did you feel the difference? Did you get the nose prickle that we...
Well, I had water in that one, so that probably helped. I think I would have if that happened.
So I prefer that without water.
Yeah, me too, definitely. Me too.
Just to clarify, I've got a question there. So did you say £10 for a 20 cl? Like what did you say for a 20 cl?
200.
Someone's heard £10.
There's £10 there somewhere.
That's selective hearing at its best, isn't it?
There's a rumour going around.
I think we'll clarify. It's £110. 110.
110.
Maybe not the news we're wanting to hear.
It's still a bargain.
Definitely.
Yeah.
Still a bargain.
Only available to if you got to come here and collect it.
Yeah, start World War III.
Exactly, I know. Yeah, postage rates with Brexit has not been the easiest on everyone.
But we're getting there.
We are. Yeah.
Managed to get lots of tasting packs and bottles out to
Yeah.
society members. And for any society members watching in Sweden, we are actively trying to come up with an arrangement to be able to get society bottles to you as well. So hopefully you'll hear from us in the next sort of few months how we're going to do that. Are we ready to go into whiskey number 4?
I think so. Why not?
I think so, yeah.
Well, that's why I opened these beforehand, because the childproof, waterproof, quite difficult.
I think actually, was that part of the interview process with Cadenhead? Is that
Can you open this bottle?
No, you'll do it in Springbank. So we're moving from sherry hogshead up to a sherry butt, so a much bigger cask and a slightly lower ABV, or 46.1%. So it was almost sort of in line with our sort of standard bottle strength, 46% here.
And the chances are this is probably dropped below 46 now, because obviously these samples were drawn about 6 months ago. Before we get these bottles, etc., we will obviously re-gauge them and see what the casks are sitting at before the labels, etc., are ordered. So will it be at cast strength?
We'll certainly bottle at cask strength, but whether cask strength is 45.5% or 46%, we don't know. But yeah, we will bottle at cask strength, definitely.
And straight away, again, much more in the nose. much heavier.
It's a more intense. It's a more intense version of the hogshead one we just tried, I think.
It's kind of pine nut. Again, you get that marzipan note to it.
Smoky caramel, peppery. Some positive reviews here
Good.
for number 4.
Wow, it's like loads of sort of dark chocolate, that sort of bitterness you get from a sort of 85% sort of cocoa chocolate. Sort of espresso, licorice.
28 years in a sherry, but there's no sulphur note to it whatsoever. There is just that lovely, good-bodied, heavy sherry whiskey.
Wow. So I'd say for me it's the biggest whiskey of the night in terms of its profile. Big. It's just sort of contrasting to the more sort of delicate whiskies we've tried leading up to it. I think it's a good whiskey to finish up on.
Yeah, I appreciate this more than I did the first time I tried it the other day.
A bit of a sort of a shock to the system.
Yeah, it was a bit like watery eyes.
No, it's again, it's sort of developing on the nose and palate.
It is, yeah, it opens up pretty well.
Does look like everyone at home is really enjoying this one.
Same here.
More kind of positive reviews than, not that there was any negatives for the last few, but
Well, that's lots of positive news about this one. Quite handy because it's also
that
the
works.
whiskey that we've obviously got the most of as well. I think we were aiming for an outturn of, what did we say? Just over sort of 1,575 would be the expected outturn using 20 sail bottles. So if you all like this one, it's the one that's going to go furthest amongst the society as well.
Gareth Edwards has said bonfire toffee. And it's funny how you were talking about when someone says something, it becomes, I'm like, oh yeah, definitely.
That's it.
Get that.
Yeah, absolutely.
A wee bit of treacle there as well, and that toasted marshmallow note to it.
That sort of treacle, sort of syrupy note.
A wee bit of that spicy note coming through there. The nose now it's kind of opened up in the glass.
Quite a sort of long aftertaste as well. It really sort of sticks to your mouth.
For me, this one does become quite dry, but again, it's a beautiful flavour, and you just keep wanting to go back to it and see what else is going to come on the nose and the palate.
So we did just try these yesterday.
This week
Again, earlier. So I tried them before they were bottled into these packs. And then again yesterday, there's a little sort of refresher before the tasting tonight. And then, yesterday I thought it was much even sort of bigger and bolder than it is now. It's sort of, maybe it's because yesterday I was sort of spitting the drams because I was driving, and now my sort of palate is sort of more in tune with this now. I've been sort of drinking them.
We're getting some kind of rankings here from 1 to 4.
Oh.
So Davron has said 4, 1, 3, then 2. Someone else says number 1, but then 4 is a close second. That's Adam Hancock. Thomas Rosenthal number 1. So yeah, we've got a bit of a mixture, but that was always going to be the case.
It is, yeah, because everybody's palate's different. I'll do like, as I say, a lot of important strong mature Springbanks I do really go for if I can find them. If not, it's bourbon.
Yeah, I agree. I think I really, really enjoyed number 1 and 2 as well as 3 and 4. If you asked me to pick my favourite, I'd maybe even say number 1, closely followed by the rest of them. But this sort of comes into you can't just sort of sometimes pick your favourite.
Yeah,
you have to sort of pick what's.
That's the thing. When we're doing that in the office, we are thinking, okay, that is my favourite, but what overall is the market feel? And that's when we were going out about doing tastings, trade shows, talking to people and getting the feedback from everybody and what they sort of enjoy in the Springbank range. obviously we were putting that back to Finlay and trying to put that on the market for the supply and demand.
Oh,
That's obviously going in the range as well. You can see we're doing the Springbank 10, 12-year cast gen, 15, the different maturations and the cast types we use just to cater for everybody in the market.
I think everybody's got their own sort of preference when it comes to whiskey and the maturation style. Some people naturally lean towards lighter bourbon styles, more people towards sort of sherry styles, and it doesn't mean one person's sort of opinion is better than the others. Just everybody's palate's individual. Tell you what, this has been a baptism of fire for you, Fiona.
It's not as every week.
29-year-old Springbanks.
Yeah,
Live on camera.
I know.
To our adoring society.
And Julie.
Yeah. Don't forget Nathan in the corner, and Julie's there as well. Mary Patterson was going to come along as well, but I'm sure Mary will be watching.
Make a party out of it. Right, so well, hopefully everybody sort of agrees with the whiskey we will aim to do for the next Tides Bottom, which
I mean, it's looking like it, to be honest.
yeah.
I know you can.
People are doing lots of positive comments for Whiskey Number 4 in case that's how we pick who gets them off.
I'm trying to take a list of people who like number 4. No, there's a bit of a mix, but there is definitely like there's a few people now doing kind of rankings, and there are a good few of them.
And she just say when it comes to ballot, it's a third party that chooses the ballot, so you can't influence us.
Unfortunately not.
But
even for
on the
ourselves.
second taste of it, I actually do quite like that number 4 one. Yesterday I wouldn't have said that, I don't think, but no, it's actually, I do quite like that now. Maybe with a bit more water.
It's funny, there's not a huge amount of peat influence, I think, in these. Was it, number 1, I thought the bourbon cask was sort of slightly suited. It's kind of what you expect. All Springbank is peated to the same level, so really between sort of 10-15 parts per million. But the longer the whiskies in the casks, phenols break down into different compounds, and you lose that over time. It's still there, it's part of the background, part of the DNA of the whiskey, but it's not maybe a specific individual note. But yeah, it was really only the first one, the bourbon cask, that I sort of picked that up.
This is when you want to have some more to go back to them and try them again.
Yeah, try them side by side, see how it's developed in the glass.
It's all gone.
It's all gone. Where's the more bottles?
Right, so if anybody's got any questions for us, fire them in now.
So it was great. Hopefully you all enjoyed the tasting. And it just gives you an idea of what we do when we're picking cast samples and stuff like that, from the process of phoning up, getting the samples drawn, obviously asking from the regauge, check out the strength, etc. Check the quality in them, and then looking at the quality in them and just basically seeing what goes on the market, you know.
It's not a bad job, is it?
It's not.
It's all right.
After a month, I can confirm it. It's not too bad. Ian McPartland's asked, what's the timing of the bottle being available?
Yeah, that's a good question.
Not discussed that,
Initially, we sort of planned or hoped to be able to do it sort of quite soon after the tasting, but there's sort of a couple of issues to get the packaging sorted and stuff like that. So probably push back in perhaps September time. Just looking at the bottom schedule later today, it'll be maybe early September. We'll look at doing that. If we could do it any sooner, we probably would, but
this calendar year.
Yeah.
This calendar year.
So there's an end in sight. There's something to work towards.
So typical us, we'll always give a day and always slip something.
Yeah, we don't.
Like global pandemic or Brexit crisis.
Sometimes there's 2 at once.
We aim to do 2 society bottlings a year, so we've done 1, or at least 1.
you talked about our financial year or the calendar year, which doesn't quite sort of marry in yet. Depends who's asking.
Who's asking? Yeah. Soon enough, I'll be looking at the next society building after this.
Yeah.
Thomas Orber said, fantastic tasting, much better than football. It probably depends on your own preference.
Yeah, exactly. We don't know any scoreline, so can't be influencing that.
Thomas, nice to hear from you. All is well in Norway. Here we are.
Indeed. So yeah,
Well, I think that's all from us, and that's all from you.
Mm-hmm. Well, hopefully you all enjoyed it, and yeah, we'll hopefully go back out on the road to meet everybody face to face in due course. But certainly come and see us at Springbank. As the doors are open again, slowly but surely we're getting there.
Yeah, it was nice to meet you all virtually.
Can't visit to see you, but
wait till you meet them in person. All right. Cheers, everyone. Sanja.
yeah, cheers.
Cheers.